Hello, it's Scott Manley here, and today I'm going to be taking a launch chair to Minmus, which is, of course, the easiest moon to get to, and therefore it requires the smallest vehicle. This one is 2.9 tons. Actually, it's 2.89. But here we go. We're using the turbojet for the first stage because we're trying to cut down in mass. The fuel it is using comes from a single toroidal tank and the other really tiny tank, which I completely forgot the name of because I don't use them very often. Anyway, point is we're using, well, although those fuel tanks are designed for rockets, they have fuel and oxidizer. I'm only using the fuel to feed this engine. There are two air intakes out on the side, strung out on the little cubic octagonal struts. That was the lightest way I could think to attach these things. I'm not going for part count here, I'm going for mass. So anyway, with two air intakes, of course, we are going to be able to get a long way into space. But notice I'm actually running the turbojet at way below maximum power, because if we do it at full power early on, of course, we're fighting the atmosphere and all the usual things that we have to be concerned about early in launch. Now, we're going to ramp up velocity later on. This thing will get going like the blazes before it leaves the atmosphere. Trust me on this. So you can actually, it looks like those cubic struts are actually bending under the air resistance. I may be wrong there, but I think because they have higher air resistance, they might actually be pushing backwards. Of course, this thing is slightly unstable because because those air intakes are slightly forwards of the center of mass, so it actually has a tendency to want to go off center if you let it. Also, I found it's incredibly hard to place the seats. There we go. Look, we're getting re-entry effects on escape. We're flattening out our trajectory here. We're trying to go as fast as possible on this turbojet without running out of air. That's going to be the big challenge. Now we're almost 20 kilometers. We should totally be flattening out this trajectory. 1.2 kilometers per second now. Just going up. We used a 1. We're almost out of fuel. Almost out of fuel. 1.4. Out of energy. We get something here? No. Okay, well, screw it. Let's go. Ditch this. And we shall go into orbit now. Switch things over, and there. Now we have the main stage. So this is, of course, the smallest 1 meter fuel tank with two radial engines. Of course, the radial engines are really great in the thrust to weight department. We can actually get some real speed out of these very, very quickly. The problem I have, and you see me right away, I'm turning off center by accident because it's very hard to put those passenger seats exactly in the center in line. And so you find that your center of mass tends to drift off center when you're trying to build these things. Even though I do my best, even though the symmetry shows me they're right on top of each other, they decide that no, I haven't actually put the Kerbal right on the center of mass. Regardless, it's pretty easy to compensate because a Kerbal does not weigh very much, and we have vectoring on these low radial engines. We're obviously going to 4 times time acceleration now because we have a long journey out to the planet Minmus, including all sorts of navigation, which I'm just going to show here. I had considered doing this all without maneuver nodes, but people keep on asking me, to see more advice on how maneuver nodes work, and so I just think that showing how I work with the maneuver nodes is actually more educational. So you can see me, I'm trying to find the best way to inject into the Minmus intercept. Actually, this is a pretty good location here for mine. I'm trying to get there with the minimum amount of fuel. Although the most important thing with this spacecraft is getting out of the atmosphere with as much fuel left in your upper stage. The more fuel you waste the more fuel you lose essentially during your turbojet stage, the more fuel you have that goes to waste essentially in the upper stage. And I did this previously and didn't have enough fuel to land safely on planet Kerbal. But this one I did, and I have more than enough to get myself out there and go further. So here we go. Just performing my injection maneuver. Brave Kerbal just sitting there. He can't actually see where he's going. Another thing to notice is that I'm controlling this from the probe body that the seat is attached to. Because the nav ball, if you view it from the Kerbal point of view, is at 90 degrees to your actual velocity, right? So you end up having to, you can't figure out where the blue indicators are and everything. Although, that would be a nice challenge, I'm sure, to do that. But yeah, I control the probe body. Also, note that since the probe body is there to provide torque, that's the only thing it's really there to provide is torque. You don't actually need any solar panels on this because as long as there's a Kerbal there, it will provide the torque, even although there's no electrical power and the probe itself is uncontrollable. Look at that, we got a nice... Well, that's going to be practically a polar orbit on this thing. I should have brought a Keith-end detector, huh? Anyway, still going at 10 times to our 4 times time acceleration. We're going to fly out, and you can see me. You can just see the planet, or the moon of Minmus there, just moving very slowly next to the sun there. I decided to run this out at 1000 time acceleration because I like kind of watching the silent approach of this moon hanging in the sky over planet Kerbal. We've spent 1 day in space now, 24 hours. That is, of course, 4 Kerbal days, and he has been in that spacesuit the whole time. I know it's not near my record of, something like 50 days in a spacesuit, but I think a single day and a half in a spacesuit is probably getting pretty nasty in the, poo department. But yes, Minmus is coming towards us, and you could see it spin even at only 1000 times time acceleration. Look, we enter the sphere of influence. So now we're going to plan our injection maneuver, get this down as nicely as possible. It's going to be a 40-kilometer orbit coming under the Minmin South Pole. And yeah, the nice thing I like about maneuver nodes is the ability to set a timestamp. You'll see me in a lot of my things setting up a maneuver node with like no change and then using that to set a value in Kerbal alarm clock. Because ultimately I run the maneuver and then frequently I'll just fine trim things manually afterwards because, I don't know, you end up kind of drifting off center, and the maneuver, because the maneuver takes time, then you never end up with quite exactly what you want. Anyway, so now we need to find a place to land, and it looks like we're going to actually pass over a nice lake there, so of course we can go straight from this injection orbit into a landing maneuver. Just kill my orbital velocity and bring it down roughly over the flatness of the lake. And the lakes are just nice because, of course, you have they're all at sea level. You know that they're perfectly flat. They're like easy mode. The hard part about Minmus was just landing on them. It's funny, when Minmus came out, people were like, oh my god, look at those hills, it's really hard to land on. And then they realized that they had these perfectly smooth lakes, and everyone was happy. And in fact, with the really tiny delta V you need, it is the place for people to start their landing. Extending the landing legs, and now we're going to fly down and land on the surface. Now we're switching to regular time acceleration. There is no time acceleration on this anymore, other than that in the game. Everything is back to normal. Look at that! Coming down over... I don't know, there's probably a name for that now, right? There was somebody mailed me the other day saying, oh, I'm creating a Kerbal table of the elements. It's like, okay, great, you do that. He asked me for some suggestions, and I said that perhaps Californium should be renamed Krakenium, of course, in honor of the Kraken, which has ruined so many excursions beyond Kerbal's orbit for many years, and now exists as a sleeping god on the Julian moon of Bop. Does that sound dramatic enough? Anyway, yeah, so here we come down, 2.5 kilometers up, and we're basically moving into the ground at quite an alarming speed, but that's okay because this thing has ridiculous acceleration. Fuel does appear to be getting low, but this is tons of fuel when you consider the absolutely minuscule amount of mass the whole thing has to move. Also note, in the background, the planet Kerbal is showing itself, so you can at least feel at home while landing. I've rotated him so you can kind of get a better look at the sky as he comes down, so he doesn't know what he's getting into, huh? No. It doesn't actually matter because the control pod that's being used, or the probe body, is actually 90 degrees to the seat. So I think actually that's another thing I'd like to see in future versions, of course, is a way to click some buttons and translate your nav ball 90 degrees or whatever. Set the origin so that you can adjust these things in flight, or at least in a .craft file. Okay, so now we're getting for the final approach, coming down at like 10 meters per second. That's going to mean we're going to spend 50 seconds watching this descend slowly to the plains of Minmus. Cold plains, but not cold enough for ice. Nevertheless, Shepkin Kerbin has an entire suite of environmental control systems to keep him alive in this hostile environment 2.5 days into this epic journey on a bootstrapped, or not so much bootstrapped, on a shoestring budget. Yes, hi, Orion. Orion's just turned up. Say hi.
Hi.
Yeah, so we're landing, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what we're landing on?
Minmus.
Minmus, yeah. It looks cool, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks like Uranus.
Yeah, it looks like Uranus. It's roughly the same color. Look, we're 40 meters, 30 meters. We're just slowing our velocity. This is totally going to work, right? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And he becomes the first Kerbin. Shepkin Kerbin becomes the first, or now holds the record for the lightest spacecraft to land on another planetary body. And what does he do? Of course, he takes off for a little flight and face plants right away. What a hero he is, Shepkin Kerbin. I think he just wants to make silly, I don't know. He wants to breakdance. That's what he's doing. He's breakdancing on another planet. It makes it a lot easier to do a head spin when your head is bigger than the rest of your body, right? Kerbal breakdancing. Now, there's a paper that somebody needs to write, some study that needs to be done.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I was walking on Minmus one day in the merry, merry month of June. That doesn't really work. I should have recorded this a couple of days ago, shouldn't I? Anyway, we've done all the scientific research we can on the surface of this body that is oh so familiar to us. So, time to head home and demonstrate the return and landing capabilities of this this very, very small and cheap spacecraft. This is like the Tata, right? Is the Tata, they make really, really cheap cars for like $1,000 or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it has like, you don't know what that is? Yeah. It's a car, they're a car manufacturer, and they got a bunch of headlines for being able to make a really, really, really cheap car. Anyway, we're going to get into our standard 90-degree orbit. Look at him taking off.
That looks like an escape pod.
It looks like an escape pod. In fact, the thing is though, Orion, escape pods generally have more amenities and are generally easier to fly because they're going to have to carry, regular people. This requires a pro pilot like Shepkin Kerbin. Yes, because I had to check his name up because it isn't actually visible anywhere in the video. And get ourselves into a nice 5-kilometer orbit, maybe 10-kilometer orbit.
That looks like Hoth.
That looks like, it doesn't look like Earth at all.
No, it looks like Hoth.
It looks like Hoth. Yeah, except Hoth is covered in snow, and this is too close to the sun to be covered in that kind of snow. It would evaporate. The problem is because
that kind of looks like Hoth.
It does. You see, the thing is, it has low gravity, so if it had ice on its surface, the ice would evaporate and then disappear into space, and it wouldn't stay around long. So I'm guessing, I've always said that the surface of Minmus must be salt or something that's been extruded and left behind by evaporating liquids. That's us into orbit. Yay! So now, plot our return, and of course we're working on a very small fuel budget now, so we absolutely have to minimize this return. Oh, we could get a lunar encounter. Unfortunately, I haven't adjusted my predictions, my conic patch limit, which would be really nice to adjust in-game, guys. Hey, developers, could we adjust that in-game without having to edit a save file? That and the conic draw limit. I haven't adjusted that, so I don't know if that would actually have saved me fuel or not. Regardless, that's a 35-kilometer orbit. We shall go, and we shall burn, and we shall return to the planet Kerbin. 165 meters per second. How many meters per second do you think I need to land? Well, we need about that much. I think the thrust to mass ratio of this thing is actually pretty, potent. Okay, that'll be fine. Now, the question is, are we going to land over the sea or over land? Paradoxically, landing over land tends to be safer because you bounce instead of splashing or splatting. So, here we go. I just did a quick save there. We're going to fall down to... There we go.
Crash on off.
No, we're not going to crash. We're totally going to land this thing. Okay, so we're coming out of time warp, and we need to put ourselves in retrograde position because I've discovered that flying these like flying lawn chairs, the Kerbal is way lower air resistance than the rest of the spacecraft. So the spacecraft will want to turn Kerbal first when the atmosphere really kicks in. So you have to fight to keep it pointing the right way up. And the thing is, once you have got him facing, you know, downwards, it is very hard to get out of that situation quickly because there is a trick which I shall show you later, but you don't have enough torque from any of the available elements to turn yourself.
It's just going down?
It's just going down, and he's going through the atmosphere. Look at that. Wow, look at the fire.
That's so fast.
It is. It's coming back, so he's like 2.7 kilometers per second, and he's at 26 kilometers. So that is a pretty hot return. Obviously, if this deadly re-entry was running, this would be a no-go. But since deadly re-entry is not here, we're actually doing pretty well. 4.5 days. We're 4.5 days into this, so the only problem I think he's having is with the amount of poo in his underpants. Because he hasn't changed that suit in a few days. Yeah, I know. Anyway, look. So I'm struggling really hard at this time, right? Doing this, I've done this several times, and most of the time I can't manage to keep it pointing straight down. And this is about the time when it becomes really hard. As the G's get higher, the amount of effort you need to use to keep it pointing the right way becomes much, much higher. But now the G's are starting to starting to slip off. The amount of torque turning us around is reducing, so we have probably made it through the atmosphere. We are going to head to the surface now and attempt to land this thing in as many pieces or as few pieces as possible, with as many pieces intact. I think we're going to land over land, aren't we? Can you see? That looks like land to me.
It looks like water to me.
It looks like water to you. Is water green for you? I think also water doesn't have hills, or if it does have hills, they tend to be more fluid because it's water. No, this is land. Also, I don't see many trees growing on the water. Although you do get trees that grow next to the sea or in swamps and things like that. Okay, so we actually have a decent amount of fuel remaining, 7.4, yeah, whatever. That should enable a relatively, we should be fine with our touchdown here. But now it's just, we don't want to burn it up too quickly. So here we go. We're just waiting for some sign that we can see the ground clutter. Once that happens, that'll be our sign to start slowing. Okay, let's do this. Slow ourselves a little. More. No. Oh, whoa, no. Up, down. No. Ow. Hey, he survived. And well, look, and so did a few other pieces of the spacecraft. He's alive! He's alive! He's so happy. Shepkin back.
He has a headlamp.
He has a headlamp, yeah. I put that on because I wanted to see if it would give me any indication of when the ground was coming up. Anyway, I mentioned that this thing has a nasty habit of flipping head first. There is a way to actually deal with it if you're flying it, and I'm going to show you now. So we're just going to go head first because, well, it's funny. So I'm just going to let aerodynamics take over in this time, and that means I'll be able to do it a lot faster because I'll be able to use like 4 times.
Kerbal Space Program is kind of weird.
Kerbal Space Program is kind of weird. Why?
Yeah, because
look at his face. Look, he's screaming. He's going, ah, no! He's not very happy with this. So what I do is I deactivate one of the engines. Now I'm going to use one of those engines to flip me around through 180 degrees once we've got through most of the atmosphere. So I'm going to let the G-force tail off until it's below about 1 G. Then we're going to go to regular speed. And you can see me, I'm trying to turn using the... There we go. And just use it, and then turn it off, and then hold it there. And then reactivate this. And so I have recovered from a nosedive, or a head-first situation that would otherwise be fatal. Now it's just that whole landing thing that has to happen again. Are we ready? This is going to be a hard one. Once again, we're doing suicide burn style landing.
Space power is weird because when you're in a plane, you start your space on.
You what? You get...
When you're playing, you still have your spacesuit on.
Well, you know what? He hasn't had time to take it off, and he's probably regretting it because he spent 4 days in it, and he's probably smelling quite a bit. You're okay. We're getting ready for the burn. Ready for the burn. Okay, start to kill a little, and more and more. Oh, no. There. Oh, look, we're almost there. We're just gonna... Oh, there. Damn.
Oh, he's still alive.
He's still alive. Look, and I think, in fact, yeah, all of the legs survived, or a large part of the ship survived. Yeah, look, we have 3 landing legs, and we have 2. The only thing that was destroyed was the fuel tank. So there we have it. Another successful landing. I'm Scott Manley. Fly safe.
Bye, safe.